this computer. How about that? All right, I think we're
Okay.
go.
All right, well, thank you for bearing with us there. So we wanted to just have an opportunity to go over some basic information, let you know what you need to know about the team and what to expect, and give you a chance to ask any questions that you have. We'll kind of go over these logos a little bit more in depth as we go into the presentation, but these kind of logos represent who we are and what we do, but we'll go over that a little more in detail, what each one means as we go into the slide. So you can just move forward, John. All right, so there is a picture from 2021. We started, we're going into season 8 now. Started with, what was it, John? 9 kids
Yep.
that first year to this amazing, awesome group. And because we got so big, we split into these different subgroups to make everything a little more manageable. So as a part of Somont, we have Somont Abington, Somont Cheltenham, Somont East, Somont West, and then last year we broke into Philly Wis, which was a Philadelphia-based kids. So we take all these kids who are part of one big awesome group, and we split them into subgroups again to make it a little bit more manageable. Go forward. Just wanted to kind of give you some names so that, if you need to reach out to someone, you have an idea of who to reach out to. So, and you guys, if you're here, you can certainly raise your hand. I think many of you have already met or come in contact with John Raish, who founded this team 8 years ago, took it to what it is today, and continues to support the team from the Independence Youth Cycling kind of umbrella here. We have Ken Rose, who's been with us from the beginning too, he works on the financial aid, he works on our safety plans and risk management. And then for Somont, we have a new person taking over sponsorship this year. So we get lots of sponsors who help us and allow us to do what we do. And Lindsay Rosenberg has taken over that this year. So if you have a business or have a friend who has a business or know someone with a business that would be interested in, helping us, you can contact Lindsay. And then Jason Shadle and John Altimus are in charge of planning our trail work, taking care of the trails that we ride as part of what we teach the kids. So those are the guys who take care of that. Jill, which is me, I send out most of the emails. My husband tells me I send too many emails, but I think it's just the right amount to give you the information you need. All right, moving forward. All right, so I talked about how the teams are kind of broken up into little sub teams. So for Somont Abington, it is myself and Brian Vanderpool here, my husband. We take care of that team. The Somont Cheltenham team, Allison Shadle is here.
Yeah.
And the head coach for that team is not available here tonight. The East team is run by Regina Altimus.
Hello.
And the West team is run by Heidi. Heidi's here. Maybe she can't hear us.
Well, she dropped out for a
Oh,
second.
she was here. And Marie, who unfortunately is not here either. And then our Philly Wis team is Matt Braden, who is helping us with our technology issues here tonight, and Dan. So we just kind of wanted to put some names and faces together. Saw a question pop up, how do we know which team our kid is on? So it's basically where they live and what school they go to. So Abington and Cheltenham are both school-based teams. So if you go to Abington or Cheltenham or you're homeschooled in those districts, you would be on the Abington or Cheltenham team. The East and West teams, John, you're probably better at that than me if you want to give the school districts for those.
Sure.
Which would be
Yeah,
Okay,
West. Go ahead, but Brian knows it too, probably.
Upper Dublin would be Somont West, Composite West.
Okay.
With Heidi, who's not there.
There's Heidi. All right, we can move on from there. Okay. Heidi, do you have audio now?
Yes.
Okay, so Heidi's going to talk a little bit about like our values and what is important to us.
So as you can see from the slide, we have 4 components: adventure, excitement, friendship, and fitness. And I think overall we do a pretty good job of incorporating all these into our practices and into our vision and into how we interact with everybody on the team. I think what's really neat about this is kids can come then for different reasons and to be part of SOMONT. If they're really just into one part of this, it's available to them, and there's a lot that they can participate in, even if they're not super into this part, but really like this part. So you can read that, you know, but definitely I think all these parts are integrated into everything we do. And then there is instruction, which is skills, ride readiness, strength, endurance, and trail stewardship. And those are pictures of us doing these things.
In action.
That's right.
All right, you can go forward. Okay, John, you're going to talk a little bit more about the logos and the different kind of pieces
Sure.
of how everything ties together.
Yeah. So I'll try to keep this as simple as possible. You know, when we started this club in 2016, we were, you know, one team. We were just getting started. A bunch of us, you know, had been cyclists our whole lives, but we really didn't know what it was like to be a cycling coach or have a group of kids that we were responsible for to coach. And over the years, there's been an evolution, a maturity. A couple years ago, we decided to create a nonprofit to kind of hold all the teams together and help them flourish. We created Independence Youth Cycling. So that's really the entity that is providing funding, providing infrastructure, helping coaches, giving them tools. We want to make sure it's easy for coaches to just be on the bike and coach kids and have fun. So within Independence, we do a couple things. One, we organize youth teams. And what we're here today to talk about is our teams within the Pennsylvania Interscholastic Cycling League, that logo there at the top. We call it PICL, and there's some additional acronyms we'll go through. PICL is part of a national program called NICA, the National Interscholastic Cycling Association. So this summer and fall program that Independent sponsors with the 5 teams that we just talked about, Philly Wiss, Abington, Cheltenham, and then SOMONT East and West, we all operate together within the Pennsylvania League. Within Pennsylvania, obviously we have our teams, that little jersey there, and then there's great programming that the league brings to us, sponsored by the national program. Things like the Teen Trail Corps program, which is, I believe, the logo at the bottom left. An adventure program, which is geared toward kids who want to ride their bikes with the team, but aren't there to be super competitive. We have an outlet for them. And then we're very much behind creating diversity and inclusion and equity within our programs. The NICA Grit program is girls riding together, and we really do what we can to create a safe environment for females to come in and be part of our community. So, and then some of our numbers, just real quick. This was numbers from, I think I updated this recently, Jill. So we had roughly 85 student athletes, 60 families. We see a fair number of multi-child families coming in. My family was one of them. The Shadles, the Vanderpools were. We have we're really blessed to have a great number of coaches behind our program. We can't operate a team as large as we do without an appropriate number of adult coaches. We operate across many different school districts and schools. As Jill mentioned, we have a sponsorship program. We create revenue in a couple different ways, for the nonprofit that goes directly back into our programs. And we calculate our trail hour work, and we have lots of practices through the season. So just some great numbers. And then you'll hear us talk about these. I kind of mentioned them already, some acronyms, IYC. So that's the local nonprofit here in Montgomery County that we created this team to manage the individual teams and some other programs as well outside of NICA and PICL. And then PICL is the state program. NICA is the national program. And that's really kind of the bundle of groups that get together to create the magic on bikes for this summer and fall season.
This is the season overview. In the spring, April, May, and June, we have our preseason events, the Try It rides, registration. Our coaches, our directors and head coaches are busy at work getting everybody ready. Registration for our returning riders closes on June 4th. We have our first practice on July. Actually, let me go back to the registration. Our first practice is July 1st or July 11th, sorry. And if you weren't able to make any of the Try It rides, we're able to have you come in on a waiver to try it at the first practice or the second practice on July 13th. We just would need to know ahead of time, and then we would have a little later registration closing for you. We practice 2 to 3 times a week. It's usually Tuesday, Thursday, and occasionally on Saturdays if we don't have other events on a Saturday. We practice at Lorimer and Pennypack, Wissahickon Forbidden Drive, Gresham Trail. We've gone to Nockamixon State Park and Twining Valley in Upper Dublin. There are local dirt events that happen in the summer, starting in August. Actually, the Belmont Plateau is then. They have a skip pack race, and Twining Valley, Upper Dublin. New this year, we're going to have a local dirt there in August. League events happen through September and October, and the season finale team celebration, we have a banquet that happens at the end of October. You want to go next slide?
And actually this year, I should have updated that. League events are actually starting in August this year. They're actually starting earlier this year. But we'll go over the specific events in a little bit, but it's just everything's starting just a little bit earlier this year.
And as far as what you need to prepare the athlete, you will need an appropriate bike that's well maintained. You don't need to go out, especially if they're new to it and trying it, and spend, the sky's the limit sort of on some of these mountain bikes. You can spend a whole lot of money, but you don't need to do that, especially if you have someone who's new and you're not really sure. Go to a local bike shop, get a good starter mountain bike. Keswick Cycle and Circle Cycle Bike Shop are some of our local ones. I know Circle has some bikes in, good starter bikes, and start with there, and then if they like it, then you can work on upgrading the bike and go from there as need be. But as the kids grow, the bikes can get really expensive. We do have some loaners to start out if you're really not certain. They need a good and the bike they are going to ride needs to be, make sure the brakes are working and can shift, in a good working condition. Obviously they need a bike helmet. There are different styles of helmets. We do like the mountain bike helmet that comes down and covers the back of your back of the head. Water bottles they need to bring to practice, probably one or two water bottles, or a lot of the kids will carry the little backpack, a Camel back or an Osprey pack that has water inside of it. And then as we get later in the seasons, our practices are at night. So we do want them, or they'll end at night, that we do want them to have a bike light, whether they have one that mounts to the handlebars and or ones that mount to the helmets would be really helpful. So as we get into September, our practices will usually end in the end of the dark in September and October. And then we'd like you to have a bike pump for the kids, an appropriate spare tire or tube in case they do get a flat, which is very likely to happen. There's some common sizes, but there's some unique. And then tire levers to help take that off, and then a bike multi-tool that can help them with some of the basic repairs that they have. Most kids will ride with the water. I saw the question in the chat. Most kids will ride with the water bottle that does attach to the frame of the bike. But some kids don't. They just rely on the backpack. Some kids will carry one on the bike and they'll put a spare in their backpack and trade it out halfway through practice. So I think whatever's comfortable for them. I think most bikes any bike that you'd want to get to be appropriate would probably have a mount for a bike frame on it already. So, good question.
And one of the things that's important to us is, we're here to get as many kids, out and riding and on bikes as possible. So if, these things are difficult for you, you're having trouble financially getting them, or you for whatever reason are having trouble getting these things, talk to us. And we have, some things that we can do to help make sure that you have what you need so that, your kid can be on the team. So this is just kind of the basics, but if, you're looking at this and thinking, I don't know how I'm going to do that, talk to us and we will, help you figure that out.
Yeah, even if you wait till the first practice for maybe the deciding what backpack or something, see what some of the other riders have, peers their age, and we can give you some advice on that.
Okay. So basically just kind of what happens when you send your kid to practice. All of the coaches, in order to be a coach, we all have to go through training and background checks. We have to, have risk management training and concussion training and lots of different things before, we're allowed to be in charge of your kids. And there are ratios that when we take your kids out for rides, we have to have a certain number of coaches for a certain number of kids. So safety is always our number one concern. And then, we want the kids to be having fun too. We do some skills instruction. NICA has, put together basically a script for how coaches teach certain skills so that, all kids who are involved in leagues across the whole country learn the same type of skills, they learn the same words and the same teaching to do it. So we're all teaching them in a safe way. We definitely like to play lots of games. We'll do some mock races, some relay races sometimes. At our home base in Lorimer, if you came to the Try It Ride, or if you're familiar with that, we're really lucky because we have lots of different types of trails there. So we have rail trail, which is, pretty smooth, but we can get, more miles in that way. And also the kids learn, how to pass others and what does trail etiquette mean when you're sharing the trail with others on the rail trail. We also have gravel trails in Lorimer. And then when we cross the road in Pennypack, we have more single track rides. If you're not familiar with that is, that's just a small section of trail, like a single bike can fit. And that's where we see our dirt, rocks, and roots. We work on sessioning sections of trail. So maybe a harder section where there's a lot of roots or an uphill that the kids might not be successful on their first or second time. We'll take them through. Sometimes we'll take the older kids and show them different ways to do it. And it's pretty amazing, what they struggle with in the beginning of the season and what they're able to do at the end of it. But essentially, our main goal of our practices are to build our team culture and friendships. We really want the kids to look forward to coming. They can certainly, ride their bike on their own, but why do they want to come to us? Because they feel supported, they're learning new things, they're meeting new people, and they're getting new experiences. We have a couple examples of some different practices. John, I don't know if you want to pick on.
Yeah, let me
just
stop sharing for a second and make sure this stuff comes up okay. Hold on.
Was it this one maybe?
You lost your reading glasses, John. They're up on the
I
desk.
know. I'm telling you. I'm new to glasses. I'm new to glasses, guys. These are the ones for out there. So I bumble around with everything here. All right, let's try.
I know an optometrist to help you out.
All right, here's our most popular. You guys see this? Here's our most popular video we've ever published on YouTube or shared on social media. So we call this the broomstick drill, and it's a technical kind of finesse skill to get through that skinny section without hitting your bars. And as you can see, Coach Matt, Coach Ken there on the right. So there's one, and let's see. Jill, this is going to make all of us cry, this video. I don't know if you can hear that audio. It's blasting, but this was trail work we did, Jill, what, at the end of our first season, I believe.
Yeah. I'm still wearing the same sweatshirt all the time.
Oh, lots of double music playing now. Any other ones there, Jill, you want to
I think that gives them a good idea. So yeah, so we work on skills, we try to play games and trail work. We do certain different days, maybe separate from practice, where actually our current athletes are coming out on Friday nights right now to work on trails to get the trails ready for the season. But it is something, and trail work actually gets us points for the season as well. So it's important to the whole league to work on that. So let's move forward. So we'll talk about what events are coming up this season and how do you register? What's the process? All right, so this is a summary we're working on, starting with a Teen Trail Corps weekend. You just saw a little bit of that. I thought I updated this. This is not August 12th to the 33rd. That would be a long time. I thought I changed that. August 12th and 13th will be a local dirt. So local dirt is there's statewide events, as you can see by this list, that are, some are across the state in Pittsburgh. And those, they take up the whole weekend. It's a lot. It's expensive. They're super fun and we love them, but not everyone can do them. So local dirt, the goal of local dirt is to have events closer to home that, more kids can participate in. So our first one is going to be at Twining Valley Park in Upper Dublin. So there's a family on here that's from Upper Dublin. So hopefully you're familiar with Twining Valley Park. And they have just put in paved paths and single track. And it is like brand new. And we will be hosting an event there in August. And then the rest of them are the events across the state. So typically they're 2-day events. For the most part, middle school races one day, high school races another day. The first event is a rally. And that's like a little bit different than just a race. Like you start here and then you finish. The rally, they have the kids kind of riding along, and then there's certain time sections and other untimed sections so they can kind of rest. And some kids do really well in that type of event as opposed to more of a longer endurance event. I don't know if this will work, John. I just kind of wanted to show them the link for the PIMTV events so that we can kind of see where everything is. Okay, good. So if you link on that, this is the PICL website. All of the events are listed there, and it's lots of good information. If you scroll down, there's local dirt, so there'll be local dirts happening across. Each event has lots of information on here, which we'll also be sending out, like the specific pertinent information. But if you click on the name of the event, it gives you more specific information, like where to stay, what's nearby, what the event schedule is going to look like. So they're not all quite done yet, but there'll be, lots of stuff there. So like for the first event, we could see that the middle school rally was going to be on Saturday, high school was going to be on Sunday. So we don't know the exact times yet, but we know, if what grade your kid's in, if it's going to, when they're going to be participating. As it gets closer, they'll post maps and different things. Volunteering is a good thing to bring up. These events can't happen without volunteers. We're all volunteers, all the coaches are volunteers, but the events, they need people to man the merchandise tent, to help at a part where people might be crossing the course, to make sure everyone's safe, to help with parking. So, we'll give you more information, but like, I just wanted everyone to see there's so much information here that they, give you lots of specifics. They'll tell you what food trucks are going to be there. So, you can kind of plan your food. Sometimes for some of the kids, that's the first thing they look at, what food trucks are going to be there. So lots of good information there on the PICL website that we have linked there. Okay. I just had one of the videos that the guy shot last year of the races. I just think it's really cool if you've never seen a mountain bike race. 8 years ago, I had never, and it's pretty amazing what happened. So here's kind of a bird's eye view. You can see all the people in the woods cheering them on.
It's like Blue Mountain.
Yep. So they race on grass, they race on dirt, they go over rocks. And you can see just, something that has always struck me as just amazing about our team and this league in general is just the level of camaraderie and support and encouragement you get from not only your own team, but everyone else who's there. And it's just such a fun, cool event. And the kids always feel accomplished when they're done, even if they fall like that kid. It's okay, it happens. So just super cool. There's lots of videos online, but it just gives you a quick insight as to what does it look like when they head out for a race and before they get back to the finish line. So that is that. See some chats, but I think they're all answered. Okay. Did they all get answered?
Yeah, asking about if they should 11-year-old middle school should be their best days. Certain. Yeah, they would only need to be there for the day that they race, but they're obviously encouraged to come back, and like the older kids like to watch the younger kids, and we like to see the younger stay if possible. But that would mean a hotel or camping usually, just to cheer on their teammates the next day, but really only the ones required.
Yeah, so sometimes it's not possible, but like we'll have more of the specific things, and sometimes they just love hanging out and riding back and forth to cheer on their teammates. And I know some kids have come specifically just for that reason. They knew they weren't racing, but they wanted to be there cheer on and take pictures of their teammates. So it's pretty awesome. Like I talked about, that team culture. They just really care about each other, and it's just awesome to see. So any other questions about the events? And none of the events are required. We have some kids who do, all the events. We have some kids who do, just one or two. So, you make it what works for you and your family. Do the various yes. So yes, the subgroups in SOMA do practice together for the most part. Sometimes we will split. We'll be a little more specific about that as the season gets a little bit closer and we have all that nailed down. But for the most part, the SOMA teams practice together, and we kind of form practice groups together. With the Twining Valley now being open, we'll probably split a little bit more, but all of the kids from SOMA will have a chance to interact with all of the kids from SOMA. No practices, start and end time question. So typically our practices typically we do Tuesdays and Thursdays from 6 to 8. It gets a little bit earlier as we lose daylight as it gets into the season. And then if we do Saturdays, usually 9 to 11. But sometimes if we go to a different place that might be a little further away, we might, change that. But that's kind of the standard. Okay. All right. We'll move
Jill,
on.
if I can just add a little
Yeah.
bit more detail about local dirt.
Yeah, please.
Just for new folks who might be looking at this and thinking, oh my gosh, you're asking me to drive to Pittsburgh and Gettysburg and Johnstown and Raystown. The league really has focused over the past 2 years, 3 years on bringing smaller, easier to get to, more cost-effective local events to our region, to every region of Pennsylvania. So, for example, last year, our teams participated in 3 local events that were free to attend and roughly 30 minutes from where we all live. We had an event at Blue Comet Motorcycle Club in Skippack. We had an event at Neshaminy High School. Behind Neshaminy High School, there are mountain bike trails. And we had an event at Belmont Plateau down in pretty much Center City, Philly. So, take this event list kind of as you want. We'd love to see everybody at every event, but you don't have to go to every event. You may choose as a new family to say, you know what, let's give the local dirts a try because they're close. Let's go to Fair Hill, which is roughly an hour, Fair Hill, Maryland. And let's try Blue Mountain, which again is Blue Mountain, the ski resort, which is just above Allentown. That would be kind of like, I think, a good starting point. If you wanted to then go a little bit further, you may choose Raystown Lake or Johnstown, and then obviously Pittsburgh would be the furthest, with Gettysburg somewhere in between. Half of these events are camping oriented, which is awesome. So if that's your thing, that's also a big perk of big reason why a lot of people participate as well. So.
Yeah, there was a question in the chat about how far the kids ride.
Like Heidi answered.
What?
Heidi,
yeah, how far the kids ride, which Heidi did answer in the chat. It does depend on their age. Newer kids, middle school kids, it's about 5 to 6 miles. But all of the courses are a little bit different. And the league sets they don't want the kids on the course for more than a certain amount of time. So as they get older and older, that time gets more, but they make sure that the kids, with their age are safe. So 5 to 6 miles would be like a starting race for a new middle.
30 minutes for the 6th graders. They want them off the course in about 30 minutes.
All right, so then Allison's going to kind of go through the details of registration.
We have a two-step process for registration. I just wanted to say again that the new athletes that are coming in, the deadline would be June 12th. The first step is we'll send you both of these in an email as well so that you can see them. They'll be written out and they'll have the links there for you. The first step is our Team Snap registration. And that's $100 per athlete, and it covers the admin costs, the supplies, our gear, our team gear, fun stuff. We have a water ice party sometimes at the end of the year, or we'll have, was it last year was the bonfire we did, where we had
Mhm.
s'mores and different treats there. But that link will get emailed to you in an email. The second step is the pit zone. And you will, once you complete the first step, then your director will put you in this pit zone and you'll receive an invitation to that. And that is a $220 base fee. And that one includes all of the PICL costs, except for the races. Race fees are separate. You can go all in and pay $100 for the season pass, which covers all the races and events. And if you're doing, it says here, if you're doing 3 or more, that's the best way to go. Or you can pay $45 per event. And that just covers the race. All of your camping or any other fees would be separate. But that's yeah. So that opens August 1st for the individuals and closes the Tuesday right before each event. Okay. And you want to go to the next slide? Workers' questions. Okay. There's also a team jersey that's required. That's an additional cost. I think we're still working on, we're switching jersey companies this year. So we're going to get that cost to you. And we've said here, June 12th is the registration closes for new riders, or if you're going to do the try it ride on the first or second practice, that'll close on the 21st. You just have to let your head coach know that you're going to do this so that we are alert. We have that in the works. There is financial help for anybody who needs it, that you can reach out to your director of your team about that. I'm sure if you might have already been in talks with them about the team that you're on or anything. If you want to reach out to them, they could help you with getting that information. And that at the same time, if you need a bike loan, that would be a good time to mention that as well. Let me see here. You don't have to decide right now if you're going to do the all-in or the individuals. That would be at the beginning of August, right? Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess I think it was on the previous slide. Yeah. I think it is
the all-in. Oh, now through July 31st.
Yeah, which is
yeah. So by August, you should know. Okay. Any other questions? Okay.
There's also at some of the races, there's adventure rides, which are not a race. They're just that the kids can sign up for to do as well. So just some other trails that are there in the system that we can take the kids on, just, you know, as a small group if they're interested in. So that's another option to go to a destination and get another day of riding in those adventure rides.
Yeah. Also at the races, they have grit rides. So for the girls, grit stands for girls riding together, and they do a ride at all the races for that as well.
And the coaches take the kids out on what we call pre-rides. So they get to see the course before they're actually racing the course, which is another safety issue, but it allows us to kind of, you know, walk them through it. So we've had kids kind of like, oh, I'm nervous about racing, I'm unsure, but then they do the pre-ride and then they, you know, feel confident about actually doing the race. So, you know, there's lots of steps to help kids and make them feel comfortable. And during the race, there's lots of coaches out there at different stations if the kids, you know, need help or something happens, and they're definitely not out there, you know, by themselves. They have roving course marshals who are also riding around checking on the kids as well.
There's also with the local dirts, being that they're early or in August, it's always nice because that's a practice race. So they can kind of see, or they're, you know, it's the local dirt. They can see how a race is run and get the feel of it before deciding as well. Or not before deciding. But.
Okay.
Next slide.
I think this is me for this one, right, Jill? So every year they do a really good job about reaching out to the families and getting some input. What can we do better? What did you like about the season? What maybe you didn't like about the season? And at the end, we always have an opportunity to reach out to families and say, what was your experience? Is there anything that you want to share? So we have some you know, pretty great quotes that people have contributed. And this generally is pretty much the response that we get. I won't read all of these, but you can certainly take a look through here and see that most of the responses that we have are generally overwhelmingly positive. There's lots of great responses about how not only do we get the kids out on bikes, but also families get involved, myself included. Little story about our family. My husband started riding, my son started riding, my daughter started riding, and now we're all riding. So a lot of that happens within our group. A lot of families let us know that everybody's out riding on the trails at this point. So just a great way to get everyone out and, you know, getting on their bikes. But feel free to read through those. I think we have a couple different slides here of those. All right, any questions?
So do parents who are not coaches ever participate in practices? To be on the bike participating, there's every person, kids and or parents can participate one time with a waiver. Beyond that, they cannot be on a bike. We do, you know, have parents sometimes help in other ways. So we've had parents like Allison was talking about the water ice, you know, a parent went out and brought water ice one time, you know, at the end of practice, or, you know, helping with the s'mores things. There's definitely volunteer opportunities for parents who are not coaches, but if you want to be riding with us, the best thing to do would be to reach out to us and become, there's different levels of coaches. A level 1 coach is what we consider like ride support. You're riding along, but you're not necessarily leading the practices. So if you wanted to ride consistently, and that's, you know, not just a practice, but you could, you know, ride at the events too on the pre-ride, so you can see what the kids are actually going to be racing as well. You would need to be a registered coach. Anyone else have anything that you guys think we missed tonight or want to add, or again, open to questions? Right, so yeah, so there's the SOMOT website. We showed you the PICL website earlier. We will send out the link, this recording, these slides, and all the information on registering as well.
Zoom.
Yes. Yep, we're going to send out this recording. Thank you so much to those of you who joined us tonight.
Thank you.
Excited to spend time with your kiddos and get them going. Okay. All right, I think seems like a good stopping point. We'll say goodnight. You know, certainly you have emails if you have further questions, and we'll send out, you know, all of this information to you guys who were able to join, and hopefully, you know, the rest of the interested families. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
John, you stop the recording.